Have you ever been wrongfully accused? Have you ever been in a situation where you were totally innocent, but it looked like you were guilty? Well, that's exactly what happened to the apostles. They were wrongly accused, wrongly convicted, and thrown into prison simply because they were preaching about Jesus. But God had a different plan for them. He had an angelic rescue mission planned for them. Let's read Acts chapter 5, verses 17 to 20. It says, "When the apostles were imprisoned for preaching about Jesus, an angel of the Lord opened the prison doors at night and commanded them, 'Go, stand in the temple and speak to the people.' So they went into the temple at daybreak and began to teach. But the high priest and the members of the Sanhedrin soon arrived and had the apostles arrested. When they had them brought before the council, the high priest asked, 'We warned you not to teach the people, that you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and you want to bring this blood on us.' But Peter and the other apostles answered, 'We cannot help speaking about what we have seen and heard. We cannot stop speaking about the things we have seen and heard. We must testify to these things, and we are ready to suffer death for doing so.' Then the members of the Sanhedrin threatened them again and again, and when they had further insults hurled at them, they left the council, rejoicing that they had been counted worthy of suffering disgrace for the sake of the name." So let's break this down. Verse 19 says, "So they went into the temple at daybreak and began to teach." So the angel comes in the night, opens up the prison doors, sets them free, and says, "Hey, go over to the temple and teach." So the apostles, when they heard that, they didn't waste any time, didn't look back. They didn't even ask any questions. They just did what the angel told them to do. Can you imagine being in prison, and then an angel comes and sets you free? What would you do? Would you waste any time? I think not. You would do what the angel said. You would obey the angel. These guys didn't even ask any questions. They just went right to the temple and began to teach. Now, why do you think they were teaching? Because they had a message to deliver. They had a job to do. And I believe that God still has a message for us today. Every single one of us who follow him have a job to do. That's why we're here. We're here to deliver the message. We're here to preach the gospel. And sometimes we're going to face opposition. Sometimes people are going to try to shut our mouths. Sometimes people are going to try to silence us, and even put us in prison, just like they did to the apostles. But we have to remember that nothing can stop the preaching of the gospel, and we cannot be silenced. I want you to notice verse 20 says, "But Peter and the other apostles answered, 'We cannot help speaking about what we have seen and heard, cannot stop speaking about the things we have seen and heard. We must testify to these things, and we are ready to suffer death for doing so.'" In other words, they said, we can't be quiet. We have to speak. We have to preach the gospel. We've seen this with our own eyes. We've heard this with our own ears. We know this to be true, and we have to share it with the world. If they want to kill us, let them kill us, but we won't be silent. I don't know about you, but that kind of makes me want to be a little bit more bold in my walk with Christ, a little bit more courageous in sharing my faith in him. Well, I hope it does for you too. God wants to set you free from whatever is holding you captive. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's doubt, maybe it's some sin in your life. He wants to set you free. Once he sets you free, he expects you to run to the temple, so to speak, and to begin to teach, to begin to preach, to begin to share your faith with other people. Are you going to do it? Will you be an outspoken witness for Jesus? Or will you be more like the religious leaders and try to silence those who preach the gospel? Let's make sure that we don't try to silence the truth. Let us make sure that we allow God to set us free, and that we do and stop speaking until Jesus comes.